You better have the same smoke for my homeboy like you have for Lamar, and he won the MVP without receivers. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, look, I think Mark Andrews was there when Lamar won the MVP last year. Travis Kelce was there with Mahomes when he won the MVP. The other years, I think he obviously had Tyreek. I think Sammy Watkins was there also the year he won the MVP. But at some point in time, that catches up with you. It catches up with you. See, you know what happened, Ocho, is that people had convinced themselves that Edelman and Amendola and Wes Welker, they were just guys. They're not. They were really good. See, now we base receivers on if you're not Tyreek or you're not A.J. Brown or you're not Chase or you're not J.J. Justin Jefferson, you're not any good. No. For that system and for what they need, they weren't good. They were great. Welker was great. I mean, go back and look at Welker's numbers when he got there. He was getting 122, 125 catches. Lot. Go back and look at Edelman. Go back and look at Amendola. Those guys were really, really good given what they were asked to do. They were not outside the number guys. They were everything they did was in the middle of the field. And you got to take
that's basically when you think about the makeup of the New England offense during that Tom Brady era, if you think about it, they're one of the few teams in NFL where everything was run from the inside out. You think about that. Everything was run from the inside out. So your number ones is your reads start from here as opposed to other teams where you got dominant wide receivers on the outside and your reads start from one and your process from there on out. But when it came to them, your Amendolas, your Wes Welkers, your Aaron Hernandez, you had your Gronks, where everything went from the inside out as opposed to how other teams operated. But go ahead and finish your point.
Yeah, and so you're absolutely right. And what they would do is that then they catch you sneaking in like, oh, I'm going to jump this inside route, and now they throw the ball to the outside. Because think about when they had Randy, they didn't win the Super Bowl when they had Randy.
Hey, they went undefeated until what? That last game?
Last game against the Giants in the Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
And so that's the thing is that just because a guy isn't first team all pro and he's not a perennial Pro Bowl player, that doesn't mean that he's not good. We've got to stop this notion where he ain't Tyreek. Who is?
Nobody.
And you have to understand, remember, it was all fine and good when Randy was catching passes. The moment Randy started complaining, what happened, Ocho?
You got to go. That's what I told you.
So you have to understand JJ and Chase and all those guys, man, they're not going to go no 3-4 games and catch 2-3 passes.
At all.
So Coach Belichick understands. He's like, man, look, everybody ain't built for the cold, Ocho. What I mean by that, everybody's not built to play. Just because you're a football player and you're a great one, that doesn't mean you're built to play in New England. Everybody can't play in New England. And unless you've been there or talked to people like I have that have been there, then you can properly assess and understand that it's more than just talent to play in that system. But congratulations to the Raiders. The Raiders played. The Raiders did what they needed to do. I'm happy for the Raiders because I really want AP to get that job.
Whoa.
I think he's deserving.
You want him to get it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Ocho,
what is management going to do?
Ocho, we saw the same thing in Carolina with Steve Wilkes when he took over for Matt Rule. Had them playing extremely well. They won a bunch of ball games once Matt Rule left, and the players wanted him. What did he do? No, was it Matt Rule? Who got fired and he came in? He came in for Steve Wilkes, and they ended up hiring Matt Rule. Who got fired? Was it Matt Rule? Matt Rule got fired and Steve Wilkes filled in. Okay, yes, and the team played well, and the players wanted him.
This is different. The players need to voice their opinion. I'm sure they can. I'm sure they can. Listen, look what Pierce did since McDaniels has been fired. They 4-3. They 4-3. It's the first time the Raiders winning KC since week 5 in 2020. So if you have your players responding to a certain coach and playing at a high level without a consistent quarterback, a franchise changing quarterback, why wouldn't you bring him back? You got a player's coach, a player that knows the game, that played the game. It only makes sense. Who are you going to hire?
Ocho.
Who are you going to go get that can do a better job than what Antonio Pearson doing with a team that doesn't have an elite quarterback at the helm?
You remember when they went and gave John Gruden $100 million for 10 years? You remember when they just gave Josh McDaniel all that money? Okay, the Raiders are about splash. They always want a name. They probably had more Heisman Trophy winners on their roster. That's what Al loved Heisman Trophy winners. He loved big names. He loved big name coaches. You don't give a 10-year deal, Ocho? We never heard of that. No player has ever had a 10-year deal. No coach has ever had a 10-year deal. He gave a guy 10 years. He just gave Josh McDaniels like 7 years. So unless they're still going to arbitration trying to sort this thing out with John Gruden, but you might have to pay John Gruden $60 million. You got at least $60 million tied up in Josh McDaniel.
Damn.
He like names. He thinks that wins.
Nah.
Doesn't. But the Patriot way. Ain't no Patriot way. The Patriot way was Tom Brady. The Patriot way only works in New England. Look at all the coaches that's from Belichick tree, and it's a lot of them. Tell me the one that's won outside of New England. Charlie Weiss, Romeo Crennel, Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniel. Josh McDaniels had 2 jobs and got fired halfway through the second year in both of them. One for cheating and one because he couldn't coach. Yes. He tried to do what they was doing in New England. No, Mr. Bowles said, nah, you're not finna tarnish my reputation. That ain't finna happen.
No, that's crazy.
So Alan Shepard donated $50 and he wanted to ask, what's up, 85. Speaking of defenses, did you see the Raiders pillage, need a quarterback, some work on the O-line, but that defense has been a problem since they dropped the Patriot way. Yeah, the Patriot way doesn't work. He doesn't have, see, here's the thing also. Coach Belichick has been able to get by because, Ocho, once you win, it's kind of like if I own a business and I'm, the business is doing, sometimes the executives talk to the workers a certain type of way. And then you take it like, well, we are getting nice paychecks and we are the top company. Josh McDaniels thought he could go to Denver, probably thought he could take that same thing to Oakland, talk to people, demean players, talk down to his coaches, give people his butt to kiss, and think, no, that ain't going to work, bro. Nobody ain't going to want to play for you.
Definitely not. Definitely. And it definitely ain't going to work if you don't have the quarterback in place that can pick up the slack for the areas that are weak. You can have a lot of stuff and you got a great quarterback. Tom was different, man.